200 of those guests, of the 600, were greeted by Charles at the evening dinner in a glass marquee on the grounds of Frogmore House. That's quite a pared down guest list who got to come to the after party. Uninvited, shockingly, were Camilla's 2 children, Tom and Laura Parker Bowles. Who was making the slashing cuts here? Well, obviously Meghan. But who allowed this? Like, how are you going to come into somebody's family and then blatantly exclude key members of that family? This isn't like somebody's second cousin's mother's friend can't come. This is really unacceptable. By the way, a lot of Harry's oldest friends, including Tom Inskip, was also uninvited to this little event. I guess I shouldn't say uninvited because who even knows if he was invited in the first place, but he wasn't invited to the dinner. Meghan has changed Harry too much, Inskip later said, shocked that he had been dumped, and we've lost him. Y'all, Inskip was one of Harry's dear friends from childhood. They'd always been friends. And now, suddenly, because Meghan doesn't like him, and Meghan has known Harry for like literally, 2 seconds? Now, suddenly, he can't be friends with Tom Skippy Inskip anymore? What's going on here? Well, I'll tell you what's going on here. Harry had switched his allegiances to the Hollywood set. Why would he do that? These people don't mean anything to him. He hasn't known any of these people. Were any of these people there for him when his mom died? Were any of these people standing in the gap between him and the grief that was threatening to undo him at every moment after his mother's passing? No. And yet he can throw every single one of them to the curb and open his arms wide for stupid Oprah Winfrey and Idris Elba and James Corden and George Clooney. Excuse me, why are these people here? Why would you invite people you don't know just because they're famous? That is like the height of pathetic behavior. I want the cool kids to come. You don't know the cool kids. And quite frankly, thank God, you should thank God on your knees you don't. That doesn't sound like a crowd of well-established, mentally fit individuals. If there was a crowd of people who I would run to the hills from, it would be the Hollywood set. I'm talking to you about people who seem more confused than anybody in the entire planet. It would be the people in Hollywood. Their priorities are so jacked up. And now look here, look how Harry's acting now that he's getting even close to it. He's not even reigning and ruling in Hollywood. And yet, just by being in their proximity, he's acting like a crazy person. So here he's invited all these people nobody even knows. Okay, but this is where I want to talk to you about how George Clooney, I think, is he's functioning like the people that he's around. And this is the problem. They don't know that the way they act is crazy and cringy. This is how they all act. So they've agreed that this is appropriate and not embarrassing at all. You guys, I'm here to tell you this is embarrassing behavior. The actor brazenly seized the moment for self-promotion. So, okay, as it turned out, Princess Eugenie's future husband, Jack Brooksbank, a bar manager promoted to brand ambassador for George Clooney's tequila Casamigos, was assigned to pour Clooney's brand for guests throughout the evening. So everybody's just moving and shaking over here at the wedding. This isn't a union of 2 people. It is a way for people to network. That's exactly what this was. This was a party for networking. So George Clooney's over there making deals with Eugenie's future husband, Jack Brooksbank, who is his brand ambassador, to serve that tequila at the wedding. Now, Harry in Spare hadn't known much about tequila until he went to a party in Hollywood. At some point, for whatever reason, he was hanging out in Hollywood for for long bits of time. And it wasn't when he knew Meghan. And he's like crashing at various people's house, including Courtney Cox's house. And I think it was at her house that somebody introduced him to good tequila. And then he acted like it was like that to be an American was to drink tequila. That gone were the days of a gin and tonic. Now he was a tequila man. So I guess that's why he decided to serve it at his wedding. And there's George Clooney taking an opportunity to further his brand. What a grossness we live in. Everybody in their dumb brand. Well, Charles gets up and has a speech. He says, "My darling old Harry, I'm so happy for you." He called Harry a big man with a big heart and said he was glad he'd found his perfect wife. You must not think much of your son if a perfect wife for him is Meghan Markle, but okay. Then Meghan got up to do her speech. And again, as I alluded to before, she's looking at this as an opportunity to make much of her own brand. She gets up with her dumb little sentimental speech that is full of the platitudes we know her so well to say. But Tom Bauer says that though it was sentimental, it was also a little threatening. She said meeting Harry was love at first sight and that she'd found her prince. Yeah, you literally found a prince. Wow, look at that. I mean, at last I found my prince. It's less of a line to say when he is a literal prince. Because it sounds like she was just beating the pavement until she found an actual prince. It's one thing if you say that, but he's not an actual prince. Do you hear what I'm saying? Like, I found my prince. It's not, I don't know if I can't seem to articulate what I mean, but I find that to be a meaningless line when he literally is one. After thanking the royal family for their welcome, she pledged to launch campaigns. That's why I'm here, she said to applause. Bring it on, shouted the American guests. Oh gosh, who invited them? I just think that this is so gross, but such an obvious statement of who she planned on being. And not that they didn't already see it, but if anybody left that wedding feeling like this was a celebration of love, familial bond, intimacy, and the expectations of a life well lived together, all of that would have been shattered instantly. By then, just 2 hours after the wedding, the royal family's official site had added the Duchess of Sussex new webpage. Meghan's pride, the page proclaimed, was being a woman and a feminist and an activist on behalf of women, girls, and the poor since the age of 11. And then they had a photo of her learning mission to India, and the website mentioned her interest in the stigmatization of menstrual health management. Blah, 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 blah. All the causes that she hasn't cared about. Not one whit did she care about it while she was doing it, but now she certainly can't be bothered. Now, some of the older guests, thank God for the wisdom of the ages, were wondering whether Meghan imagined herself to be the British equivalent of Michelle Obama. Gazing at the Californians who cheered Meghan's pledge to campaign, they were irked that their full white teeth smiles revealed an awfully self-adoring crowd. Self-adoring, yes, absolutely. That's the word for these people. Very, very much so are they self-adoring. And they love to clap each other on the back only so the other person will turn around and be like, no, you're the best. No, you're the best. No, you're the best. Well, of course, William gets up and gives his speech. He's tactful about it. And he says it's the best thing that has happened to Has. Well, imagine what a terrible life he's had if Meghan's the best. As Brooks Bank handed out Clooney's tequila brand, James Corden hosted a dancing competition. Of course he did. What is he trying to... I mean, it's like, where are the cameras? Is he filming his own show right now? Of course James Corden would go out there and be like, let's have a dance competition! Charles danced with his sons and waited for the fireworks. So guys, listen to this. Impressed by the display, Charles asked Harry who had paid. You, Pa, replied his son. Charles left the party early, uncertain how much of the £32 million bill was down to him. Regardless of this latest burden, he had hosted a memorable celebration on a special day. Can you imagine if your child turned to you and was like, it's all on you, Dad, and it's gonna cost you a whopping £32 million? Like, I would have left the party so I could go throw up.